Alright, boys and girls, we are going to try our very first webcast on GoMath Lesson 12.1. If this is your first lesson online during our little bit of a break here, please bear with me. I'm learning how to do this also. And if I make a mistake, you guys know it's not my only one of the year. So let's go through and start learning about how to describe plane shapes. So we're beginning chapter 12. And I'm going to guide you through the first lesson. A little bit of vocabulary and a little bit of application here. So if you follow along in your workbook with me, a lot of times I'll have you pause it and let you guys work, and then I'll kind of discuss and go over and hopefully answer any questions you may have. Alright, so it starts off with an essential question: what are some ways to describe two-dimensional shapes? So pretty much the first thing we're going to focus on is, what is a two-dimensional shape? Two-dimensional shape means it's flat. You guys have all seen 3D movies where it has a length, a width, and there's also a measure of depth where something might fly at you. Two-dimensional does not have that. It's flat, it's on a piece of paper. So that is what we'll be discussing today. First vocabulary word is a plane shape. It is a shape on a flat surface. It is formed by points that make curved paths, like line segments, or both. So here, everything that is highlighted here is a vocabulary word that you need to know. I'll give you a moment to go ahead and read through those. So go ahead and pause it, read each one, and then when you've gotten done reading all of them and all the bullets underneath it, hit play, and then we'll kind of go over them. So hopefully you actually took the time and actually read the 5 vocabulary words here, because we're going to go over them here shortly. The first one is point. All right, most of you, when you think of point, you think of pointing your finger at someone, but no, this is actually an exact position. And it's usually shown by a dot or a small circle. So right here on this line, this particular point is right there. And we'll get into a little bit later how you name points. A lot of times the points, actually most of the times, the points are just named by letters. Point A, point B, point Z, point X. We don't name them Billy Bob or Sally or anything like that. Just a letter of the alphabet. Next one is a line. The line is a straight path. Notice the arrows on both sides. That is a symbol that it's going on forever in both directions. It does not end. So just because there's an arrow here, that is not an end point. That is a symbol that it's going to keep going on forever in a straight path. Now this one, the end point's right here. You see the 2 dots or the 2 circles at the end? This does not go past each point. It stops right there, so that we know everything in between is no longer a line. It's actually our next one, which is a line segment. So we use points to show that it stops. There's a starting point and a stopping point. Right here we have a line segment, and this is what we talked about. This is just the actual length of the line. Here are the endpoints, but the actual connection between them is the line segment. It's just part of the line. And then our last one is a ray, and that's kind of a combination. I always, if you guys were here with me, I would draw sunshine on the board, and I would draw rays of sun coming from the sun, actual sun itself. So this would be the sun itself, and the rays are going away from it in only one direction. The rays of sun are not coming towards it. It's actually going only in one direction away from it. It's always straight. It's part of a line. It only has one endpoint. And it continues on in one direction. So that's the basic vocabulary for the day. And our first question is, some plane shapes are made by connecting line segments at their endpoints. One example is a square. Describe a square using math words. So take a moment and look up here at our vocabulary words and describe a square using some of these math words. So go ahead and pause it. Go ahead and pause it and complete this. A square has blank line segments, and the line segments meet only at their blank. If you answered it correctly, you would have figured out that a square has 4 line segments. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. and they all meet only at their endpoints. So here it has 4 endpoints, and as we'll learn a little bit later, those are actually called vertices. So 4 endpoints would actually mean 4 vertices. I'm going to go ahead and turn your page. Actually, just flip over to page 698. This is what we talked about when we first opened up. Two-dimensional shapes only have length and a width. If you can remember, to our area unit, we use length and width to determine area. So two-dimensional shapes have a length and a width. There's no depth to them. There's nothing coming out at us like a three-dimensional movie might have. And actually, you get to have a little fun here. Actually, get to draw some different types of shapes. The first type of shape is a closed shape. It starts and ends at the same endpoint. And I always tell my class, imagine that this was a fence. If this circle was a fence and there were animals inside of it, could they get out? They could not. They would be stuck inside. If your animals are stuck inside, it is a closed shape. All right, all these shapes, if there was an animal, they would not be able to get out, no matter how hard they tried. So go ahead and in the space right beside it, draw more examples of closed shapes. I would say draw 5 of them. So go ahead and draw, pause it, and then draw 5. Hopefully you got your 5 shapes drawn from above. And the next one is an open shape, and is kind of the opposite of a closed shape. Obviously, if this was your fence right here, and you had your horses or cows in there, they're going to run all over the farm because there's no closing of this. Open shapes can take many, many different forms. Here we see a squiggly, kind of like a trapezoid's been opened up. Here we have an S, and we have an open rectangle almost. So imagine that this was your fence. You wouldn't be a farmer for very long because you're going to have no animals, because your two-dimensional shape is not closed. It is definitely open. So take a moment and draw, let's say 3. Draw me 3 open shapes after you press pause. All right, our first question is the plane shape at the right a closed shape or an open shape? Explain how you know. I'm going to press pause and solve that. We'll talk about it. Well, I'll talk, you'll listen. The plane shape at the right is definitely a closed shape. How do I know? I know because it's connected at all the endpoints. There are no open ends. These are all line segments that are connected. There are no openings in our two-dimensional shape. And if you went above and beyond, you would have known that that is a trapezoid. And we'll get to that later in the chapter. All right, I'm gonna let you guys. I'm gonna go over 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you guys are going to go and press pause and go ahead and work it for a little bit. So number 1, it says how many line segments the shape has. And number 2, it says circle all the words that describe the shape. So press pause and answer 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Number 1, you should have answered it has 3 line segments. 1, 2, and 3. For number 2, this was an example of a ray. It has an endpoint, and it is extending in only one direction. Number 3, it is a closed shape. It's definitely not open. It is a parallelogram. Number 4 is an open shape, obviously. And number 5, that is a line segment. Line segment. Just like we did before. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, you're going to write open or closed underneath each shape, and then press pause. All right, number 6, that is an open shape. 7 is closed. Number 8, closed. Number 9 has an opening right there. Number 9 has an opening. For 10, through 17, 10 through 13, you're going to write how many line segments. In 14, you're going to write open or closed. Go ahead and answer though. Pause it first, answer them, and then I'm going to go over it. Number 10, how many line segments? 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 11 has 8. Has 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looking at number 12, we have 4 line segments. 1, 2, 3, 4. 13 has 6 line segments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Open and close. Honestly, by this point, you're probably really good at it. I'm going to kind of go through it. That's closed, open, closed, closed. You're probably getting pretty good at that by now. Probably a little bit bored with open and closed. We're not going to do all, as we normally do in class, we're not going to do all of these. And I know you're at home for a nice long spring break. I'm not here to make you work forever. So let's start with number 18. What's the error? Brittany says there are 2 endpoints in the same shape shown at the right. Is she correct? Explain. So look over here. Brittany thinks that there are 2 endpoints in this shape. Write a sentence or two describing whether you think that she is correct or not. Press pause and work on that. If you answered it correctly, you would answer no. There are not 2 endpoints in this shape. There's 1 endpoint, and it extends in one direction through a line. So this would be an example of a ray, not 2 endpoints. We're going to skip 19, and we're going to skip 20, and I like number 21. It says draw a closed shape in the workspace by connecting 5 line segments. Go ahead and press pause and work on that. Alright, now I have not figured out how to draw with this new screencasting application yet. So any pentagon that you create, alright, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So any pentagon. And as long as it has 5 sides and it is connected and there are no opens, you did the correct work. That is today's lesson. I have included in the lesson some videos talking about some of the vocabulary. I've included some other activities, so just guide through it. If you would like to do the homework on page 701 and 702, if you like doing this, I would say keep going. If you don't, and you feel like you understand it, you're good. As long as you understand the difference between 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional, you understand all the vocabulary, you understand about points, lines, endpoints, line segments, and rays. That is the majority of the lesson. Thank you. I promise I'll get better as we go. This is my first one, so hopefully it was helpful. Have a great rest of your math lesson.